Hey everyone, it's your girl Nell. What are you up to? This is a crochet or let's crochet and chat. I've been thinking about changing that title. I'm thinking about just saying crocheting with Nell. It sounds so much better because when you crochet with me, you're gonna get conversation and all of that great stuff, right? Right. So, welcome to the tiny studio. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. What am I doing in the tiny studio? Well, later on today, I'm going to be working on my jewelry line. I have some really great designs that have been floating around in my head and in my dreams, and I'm really thinking about exploring them. I like working with memory wire, and I like working with wire, period. And so I'm thinking about doing some more wire earrings and necklaces and bracelets. Um, Today I am wearing some Lapis and Tourmaline teardrop earrings. These are from 2 seasons ago. No, 3 seasons ago. From another collection of crystals that I was working on. Here's a better view of them. I just love the shape and this form of teardrop. And they are wire earrings and they're very, very light. I just really enjoy this shape. It's very beautiful and it's very cute and flattering against my face and my skin. So this is Lapis and Tourmaline. I don't have a necklace on today, but like I said before in another video, I am never without some type of protective crystal on my body or on my person. So today, when I say memory wire, I love memory wire. Here's one of my bracelets. I also created this bracelet. Well, I also created a necklace using in this style as well. And as you see, this bracelet features a little metal. It features some wood. It features crystals. I believe that is some citrine, amethyst. Yes, that's citrine, amethyst, and I think there's a rose quartz on here. It is. And then there's some rose quartz. And there is, I almost forgot, this is malachite. Yes, of course, it has some wood on here, some metal. And I think that's also, oh, some hematite. That metal there's hematite. And I keep, I keep a crystal on. Because everybody needs some protection here and there, right? Right. And when you're on social media and you're doing your thing, you gotta stay, like some people say, they like to stay prayed up. I stay prayed up and I also stay crystal up. It's nothing wrong with having extra layers of protection. All right, so this is crocheting with Nell, and I am drinking some coffee right now out of my beautiful Grogu cup. Am I obsessed with Grogu? A little bit. A little bit. My daughter bought me that painting of Grogu, and my son bought this coffee mug for me. And then across the studio, I have a piggy bank that is, a Grogu piggy bank. And I also have a collector's item of Grogu too in a tiny suit. You can't see him, but he's right up there. So yeah, maybe I am. And my kids love to indulge me, and I appreciate that. Um, let's see. What am I working on today? Well, as usual in the tiny studio, I'm working on many things when it comes to crochet. I have several projects going. I have maybe about 5, 6, 7 projects going on right now. However, there's one project that I'm completing that I started working on a couple of days ago, and it turned into something that I wanted to do for my grandmother. Now, I crocheted my grandmother some slippers, and I'm getting ready to mail them off. But, it's just 2 pairs of slippers, and I wanted the package to be complete. Who wants to just mail off 2 slippers? So I decided to make her some hand tiles. Hand tiles. And here they are. Here's one. Okay. Here's the second. Here's the third. And today, while we're chatting, I'm going to be working on, oh, of course, this is my yarn bowl. I'm going to be working on the fourth, which is this one. And what I'm doing now is I'm adding the border to this. Now, this is where the problem comes in at. I cannot tell you the name of this border or this edge pattern, but what I can do is I can show you how it's done. Now, first of all, this tile pattern is just one of my basic patterns. I am in the process of sitting down and writing out the pattern for this stitch tile, but it features what? It features it features a double crochet foundational stitch. Then of course it features, you have to know how to slip stitch, you need to know how to single crochet, have double crochet, and double crochet. Those are the stitches that are involved in this particular pattern. Now the edge or the border, I don't know the name of the stitch, but I am going to show you how it's done today. And that's what I'm working on. So why don't you go and grab your work and let's get started. I'm going to unwind this yarn a little bit. My yarn gets tangled. You're working with different colors and textures. Things get tangled. Okay. And I just thought it would be really cool to send my grandmother some hand towels. She has a bunch of hand towels already, but I wanted to send her some of my hand towels. And when I started working on these hand towels, I was working on them. I think I said this before. I was working on them for my own bathroom, and I've been crocheting hand towels for my bathroom for maybe about 3 months, maybe on and off. And it's just, I'll get to it when I'm in the middle of a project, like I'm in the middle of several big projects, and I'll take a break between those projects and start on something else, something that's, I don't want to say completely mindless, but something to take my mind off of that project. So right now, my big project is my future daughter-in-law's Afghan. So I've been working on that nonstop. But of course, I had to take a break so that I could keep the passion and the momentum going. So I'm in the middle of a break now, and I picked back up where I left off with my hand towels. So I was just crafting my hand towels, and I said, you know what? I need to mail off this package to my grandmother, but since I'm going to be paying about $10 or so in shipping, why don't I just include something else in that package as well? And so I was in the middle of creating this second hand towel, which was going to be in my bathroom, and I just decided that why don't I just make some hand towels and a set of hand towels for her, and just send them to her and she can enjoy them. And that's exactly what I did. I enjoy designing hand towels, and I enjoy making hand towels so much. And the hand towels that are in my bathroom, the ones I crocheted, I just really enjoyed making them. And my husband really enjoys using them. And it's like using the work of your own hands. To me, that's the idea. The work of your own hands, and being able to just, wear things that you create and that you craft, or be able to utilize the things that you craft. It's just a wonderful feeling. So that's why I decided to. That's my phone ringing. Just a minute. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So, anyhow, I've been I think I was talking about how I take breaks and in between projects. And if I'm in the middle of a big project, I take a break from it, and then I start on something that is, I don't want to call it mindless, but basically something that I can just, enjoy doing right off the bat and don't have to put too much thought or thinking into it. And that's what hand towels and granny squares do for me. There's just things that I do that I don't have to really, give too much thought to it. I just do it. So this stitch right here, I didn't pick up in a book or anything. It's just something I've been playing around with. And I'm sure that there's a name for this stitch, but I don't know it. But I'm going to show you how it looks. Okay, so what's happening is I just finished slip stitching, and let me cut this because I had to connect some yarn. So let me do that real quick, I should say. I just love these little embroidery scissors. They're just so cool, and they're so sharp. I nipped my I've nipped my fingernail off several times. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to chain 2. Let's see. Chain 2. 2 loops on my hook for double crochet. Go to the next stitch, double crochet. Slip stitch. Chain 2. Double crochet into the next stitch. Slip stitch, chain 2, double crochet into the next stitch, slip stitch into the next, and then chain 2, double crochet into the next stitch, good Lord. I be doing so. Ugh. Okay. And it's basically the yarn that I'm using. It splits a lot, so okay. Slip stitch into the next stitch. Chain 2. Here's the last one. Chain 2. Double crochet into the next stitch. Slip stitch, and you know the drill. So this is what it looks like, the border. It's like a shell. It's like a small shell stitch, but it's basically double crochet and double crochet, slip stitch, chain 2. So that's how the border is going. But that's what's happening with me. I have, well, I guess the question should be, what books are you reading? I am reading Scruples. Well, I should say Scruples 2 by Judith Krantz. And I've read Scruples 2, and I think Scruples 3 is Lovers. I read that many moons ago. And I can't remember what happened, but I think someone had mentioned Judith Krantz on social media, on my timeline, and I was discussing it for some reason, and that just got that thing in me again to read it. And I have a lot of books, and I have books that are in storage as well. So my Scruples collection more than likely is in storage, and I'm working on creating a shelving unit in here in the tiny studio where I could keep some of my favorite books on hand. And the others are in my great room. But I have a lot of books. I just love books. I've always loved books. I'm a connoisseur of books. I just love books. I love to read. And I am a writer, so, you know, what writer doesn't like to read? And when I hear writers talking about they don't read and they don't like to read, I'm like, I don't think I want to read your stuff, because, you know, to be a really good writer, there are 2 things you need to have. You need to have a love of books, and then you have to be observant. You have to be observant of life. And a lot of life that writers come to know isn't because they've lived it. It's because they have read about it. They've done research on it. So any writer that tells you, oh, I don't like to read, well, I don't want to read your stuff then, because that doesn't make any sense. A writer who doesn't like to read. Every time I hear that, I get perplexed, because I'm like, how is that even possible? You know what I mean? That doesn't make any sense. But anyhow, somebody brought up Judith Krantz's, well, I think they brought up Judith Krantz, period. And I am a Judith Krantz lover. And I probably have all her books. I think she had a book called She had Scruples. I want to say Scruples was her first, but it probably wasn't. So you had Scruples, Scruples 1, well, Scruples, Scruples 2, Lovers, and then you have a book called Princess Daisy. I cannot think of the other books, but I'm a Judith Krantz fan, and I have a lot of her books around here. I can't think of the other two, but I remember Princess Daisy. I'm probably leaving something else out too. But I've always enjoyed her work. She has transitioned on now, but she's left a wealth of material behind. And just talking about her work made me a little anxious to go back and reread some of her stuff. And so I got into reading the Scruples series again. I remember when Scruples was made into a television miniseries, and that was so long ago. That was in the 80s. That was at a time period um, when the major television networks, which was CBS, NBC, and ABC, where they all had these miniseries, and the miniseries were based on, best-selling books. And it was, such a great time in the 70s and 80s to see these books come to life. I enjoyed it. My mom enjoyed it. She wasn't a reader, but of course, I was a reader. Well, I am a reader. And so what I would do is, after I watched the miniseries, I would buy the book. And of course, as you know, 10 times out of 10, the book is so much better. But that's what happened with me with Scruples. The Scruples miniseries, and I believe it starred the Bionic Woman as Billy Eichhorn. And I remember the miniseries. It was really good. And you know who else had a really great miniseries? Jackie Collins. That's another author that I absolutely, really, really love. Um, May she continue to rest peacefully. Jackie Collins is one of my favorite authors. I'm trying to remember what her first miniseries was. I want to say oh, I can't believe I've forgotten it. It was not called Desperate Housewives. It was called Hollywood Wives. Right. And it was based off a book, off of one of her novels, which, okay, Hollywood Wives. And Jackie Collins, she has, oh my God, I have all her books. And I can go all the way back to The World is Full of Married Men. I can go all the way back to that. See, you got, excuse me, Hollywood Wives. I just said The World's Full of Married Men. You had Hollywood Husbands. Oh, of course, you cannot forget the Santangelo saga, which was Chances, and then you had Lucky, and then Lucky has her books, and let me see. What else? What is another Judith? I mean, another Jackie Collins book. She had Rockstar. Oh, I can't think of them all. But Jackie Collins, she's another one. And the mini series, I think it was Hollywood Wives, was the first mini series to hit. I think it was on ABC. And then you had Lucky Chances, which was a combination of the books Chances and Lucky. And that was pretty good. Excuse me. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that era of the miniseries and the era of turning books into miniseries. Like, let's see, like Lace, and I cannot think of the author of Lace, but Lace was a fantastic miniseries. You remember when Phoebe K said, let me do it right. She said, "So, which one of you bitches is my mother?" That was a trip. Oh my God. That movie was great. And the book was fantastic too. Of course, I had to run out and get the book, right? I think that the uh, miniseries movement back in the 80s, that really exposed a lot of authors to potential readers, because of course if the miniseries is great, me as a reader, I'm going to say, well, I of course have got to read the book, so let me run out and get it. And I did. Another great miniseries from that time period was The Winds of War by Herman Wouk. I know you have. I just know you've seen that movie, haven't you? The Winds of War. It had what was his name? Oh man, I can't believe I forgot his name. Um Robert Mitchum was the star of that movie, but everybody was in it. I think Jane Seymour was in it. It was a great miniseries. It was about a military family right before World War II, and then it goes into what happens to all of them when the war comes and all that other stuff. It has a lot of um, things that happen, with the Jews, because Robert Mitchum's son falls in love with a Jewish girl. I think that's who Jane Seymour was. And, they get married. He falls in love with her. They get married. Oh, was that Jane Seymour? Was that somebody else? I can't remember. I think it was Jane Seymour. And they fall in love, but of course they fall in love, and he's a assistant for her uncle, who is a writer, and they are in Italy when the war, or when Hitler begins to take power and stuff starts happening and whatnot, and he gets caught up and she gets caught up in the war. It's a big mess, but it's a really good story. Herman Wouk really turned this, and he really told that story. And I was trying to think, it was The Winds of War, and then after The Winds of War, you had War and Remembrance. That was book 2. So of course, I had to go and buy those books. I bought and let me tell you, those books were big. I mean, when I say big, I'm not talking about in popularity, because that's true. But when I say they was big, they was big. You know how people talk about Harry Potter's books and how thick they were? Girl, Harry Potter's J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series, the size of her book has nothing on Herman Wouk. Herman Wouk can write some books, and his books are very, very thick. So I had The Winds of War, and then I had War and Remembrance. And I think that was the name of that book. Or was it War and Peace? No, that's Toy Store. That's Toy Store, right? War and Peace. His book was War and Remembrance. So I had both of those books, and they were pretty good. And then later, Herman Wouk came out, with the miniseries War and Remembrance, which wasn't as popular as The Winds of War, but I still watched it, and it was still good. I'm trying to think. Were there any other books? I'm trying to remember if there are other. Of course there were. I mean, most movies and most movies on television, most television movies, and movies at the theater are come from best-selling novels, come from books anyway. So I'm trying to think, are there any other books that I absolutely love that came onto the tiny screen? I can't think offhand, but those were some of my favorites that I recall. And there's another one sitting on the edge of my mind that I'm trying to pull up that I can't think right away what it is, but it'll come to me and I'll be able to let you know what it is. But I just so love books, and watching these miniseries, um, presenting these best-selling books, that opened the door of imagination to my own mind, and it just let me know that you can do this too. You can use your imagination and explore different worlds and time periods and thoughts and ideologies, and what's wrong with you, girl? You can do it too, and I have. But I got excited about reading Scruples again. And so I finished Scruples, the first book, and now I am in the middle of Scruples 2, which I was up last night reading. I think I read maybe about 5 or 6 chapters last night because I was so into it. And it's something about rereading a book that you have loved, and especially after a lot of time has passed. Because if you really get into a story like I do, certain things, you have this feeling already that certain things are about to happen. And, as I'm reading, my memory begins to kick in a little bit. And sometimes I will block my memory because I want to be, I want to be surprised at what happens next. But other times it works and sometimes it doesn't work. But there are also times, since I've already read the story, I recall the build up. This build up that's happening is going to lead to something. And that's what happened to me the other night while I was reading Scruples 2, when Valentine sets her studio on fire and dies. And I felt the build up. I was like, wait. Something's about, something's about to happen, because when I ordered the third in that series, which is Lovers, it mentioned that Billy and Spider were married. And I was like, wait. How is Billy and Spider married when Spider was married to Valentine? What is going on here? And then my memory said Valentine is going to die. And I was like, yeah, that's right. She's going to die. So that opens the door to Spider and Billy getting together. But I couldn't remember how it all went down. And as I was reading and certain things start to happen and build up, I was like, okay, yeah, that's right. Valentine is getting ready to pass on, and that leads to Billy and Spider getting together. So yeah, it's to me it's really fun to reread books that you have already loved, and time has passed. And I'm trying to tell you, it's been some years since I picked up Judith Krantz's Scruples, that whole series. As a matter of fact, I remember distinctly when Scruples 2 came in the mail. I used to be part of a book club. You remember those book clubs they used to have with the record club, where you can buy a certain amount of CDs or records for a penny? But the idea is that every month you're going to be spending about what, $10 or $15 on a record or a tape. And so there was a book club like that as well. and you could join a book club and you get a whole bunch of books for a penny, but then you're on the hook to buy at least 4 or 5 novels a year. And so I was in a book club and I did that. I did. That's how I was able to get The Winds of War and War and Remembrance from by Herman Wouk. I got that from the book club. And so that's how I was able to get Scruples 2, because I already had Scruples 1 in paperback, but I got Scruples 2 and Lovers through the book club. So I was like, I know something is getting ready to happen, but I can't exactly remember what it was. And then when I figured it out, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's what happened. But I'm just a real true, book lover. I just love books. And like I said, I have a whole collection of books by, well-known authors, and also, authors that are not so well known anymore in the public. I have books by those authors as well. I have a lot of books by I have a lot of books by authors who are not as famous or famous at all. I have a lot of books by authors like that. And these are just books that I found interesting at, at the thrift store. And I will see a cover of a book and I'd be like, you know what? I like this book. I like the cover, and I think I might, I might enjoy it. And what I do is I read the first page, the first paragraph or so, and I'm like, okay, this sounds really good. You know, this might be something that I could possibly get into. And that's what I do. I just, enjoy it, and it's just, wonderful. Now there's a book, I can't what's the name of that book? It was a book, and I can see it now, and I cannot think of the name of it. Um, I want to say A Woman of Oh, it's called A Woman of Substance. And I believe this book came out maybe in the 1940s. I cannot think of the author right now. It's probably somebody that you will not be familiar with, but the name of the book is called A Woman of Substance. And it's about this immigrant family who arrives from, I think it's Hungary around the turn of the century. Yeah, right around the turn of the century, and they're really poor. And this girl, she grows up. Of course, her family is poor; they're an immigrant family, but she grows up having this thirst to rise above her situation. And as she begins to understand money and what money can do for her, and you know socially, culturally, class wise, she begins to understand that she wants to be noticed, or she wants to be noticed not for being a immigrant girl, but she wants to be noticed for, she just want to be a part of the in crowd. She wants people to stop looking down on her is what it is. And she realizes that in order to do this, she needs to be in a certain class and she needs to have money. So those two things are things that she strives for the rest of her life. Class status and money. And because of the way she moves, because of that situation, she finds herself in some crazy, crazy, crazy mess. And some of the things that she finds herself involved in, it's just terrible. And her need to be thought of, or her need to be within a certain class of people, and her need for money, her hunger for honey, her hunger for position, her hunger to be a woman of substance, causes her to make some serious mistakes. And the thing is, she does not learn from her mistakes either. She just continues on. Each mistake that she makes, you would think that, okay, she's had enough. Kind of like people today. Okay, you learned your lesson. You had enough yet? No. Okay. Life is like, all right, fine, continue. And that's what happens to her. And she goes through a lot. She finds herself in a situation with her kids. Her children realize that their mother really doesn't love them. Her mother loves money, status, position more than she loves her kids. Her kids are just an imposition to her, a roadblock to the certain a roadblock to certain things that she really wants to accomplish in her life. And she's like, it's unfortunate, but people are like that today, where they will put everything and anything over their children, and that's not good. Of course, it's never good. Your children should always come first, because they didn't ask to be here, right? They didn't ask to be here. You brought them here. But some people will put anything and everything, put their needs above their children. And that's what this book is about. It's a woman of substance. It's a time period piece. And it's really, really good. And it just shows you the lengths that people will go to because of their own greed, their own insecurities, their own wants. And it was kind of like I was talking about in my Dreadlock Love video, where I talked about the fact that we sometimes allow what people think about us to shape our world. And what happens is that when we allow what other people think about us to mold how we live our lives, we are the ones that suffer the consequences at the end of the day for that. They don't suffer, we suffer, because we're worried about what other people are thinking, and that's why I really love this book. It's called Woman of Substance, and I think it was written somewhere around 1941, 42, somewhere in there. But that was a book that I picked up from the thrift store because I like the cover. As a matter of fact, I have a lot of books that I picked up from the thrift store that I loved the cover. I read the back, or I read the inside flap and the first paragraph of the book, and I said, you know what? I'm going to take this baby home with me, and the price is right, 50 cents. Why not? Why not? And, that's what I did, of course. I was looking for some more yarn. So I finished the last of that set of hand towels for my grandmother. And I'm going to wrap them up and make the package look really cute for her. And I think they're in 3 different sizes or 2 sizes. And I think that she'll really get a kick out of these. I think she'll get a kick out of these cute little towels. She'll be like, oh, look at that Darnell. Look at her. Look at her go. And because my grandmother taught me how to crochet, so you know, what was that? Oh, I know what that was. My grandmother taught me how to crochet, so I just really love to crochet, and she'll get a kick out of looking at that. So I was trying to figure out, it was something else that I was supposed to be doing that I'm going to get started on working on again. I found my mojo again. And so I think it's going to be my son-in-law and my son. I don't have a son-in-law anymore. I used to have a son-in-law, but I don't have a son-in-law anymore. Okay, so here is, if you recall, this is my son and my future daughter-in-laws. This is their Afghan. So I put it down for a little bit because I was, how you just lose your spark, you lose your mojo. And so I lost it. I lost my mojo. And so I'm trying to get it back. What's going on right here? I have my little stitch marker here, so I'm trying to figure out what happened. Okay, I see. All right, it's a heavy Afghan to be. Okay, I'm thinking that I used a size 10 hook with this. So I have a size 10 hook in here. I think it's my clover hook. Is this a 10? Yeah, this is my clover. It's a size 10 hook. So let's see what I did here. Looks like it's single crochet. So let's see. And you know what I really need to do? Yeah. I need to really start writing down my stitches. And I said that I was going to do that, and I think it's somewhere around here, but I didn't write it down where I could pick it up at. So I think that after I finish working on this row, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write down the pattern in my planner, so that when I finish a row and I decide to take a break, I know exactly what it is I'm coming back to. But anyhow, it's been almost, 50 minutes. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today here in the tiny studio. And I hope that you subscribe to the channel. If you haven't, I don't know what you're waiting for. And if you're working on something, something cool or what have you, go ahead and share that with us here in the tiny studio down in the comment section. I would really like to see what you're wearing. And what book are you reading? Are you reading a great novel? Have you revisited novels of your past, like I am doing right now with the Scruples series by Judith Krantz? Are you doing that as well? Let me know down in the comment section. I will talk to you later. I'm going to get started on this Afghan again, and hopefully the next time we talk, I will be able to give you an update on how my grandmother enjoyed, or what my grandmother thought of the towels that I am about to send her. And I will be a little further along on this Afghan. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today in the studio. I'll see you next time here in Nell's Tiny Studio. Bye bye.